So, first question for you, Kris. Obviously, the Masters tournament's coming to Glasgow again. You're getting the chance to link up with Kenny Miller, Barry Ferguson, Alan Hutton, Lee McCulloch, some of your former teammates who you achieved so much success with. How much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think when you come together with the boys and everything, it's brilliant. It's a great occasion. It's usually just in the pub nowadays, right enough, but being able to get back out there on the pitch, as I said, it's good. I'm sure we'll all be looking forward to it. I was playing five with Kenny the other day, and he's put a little bit of weight on, so I'll not be long in shifting that. The evening of the Masters, because he'll need to do all my running again.
And in terms of your opponents, obviously you've got Celtic, you've got Hearts, you've got Hibs. Are you looking forward to taking on the Scottish teams this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year it was a first time in playing in that setup kind of type thing, and it took us a little bit to get used to it. But once we got there, we showed that I think we could compete, and I'm sure. Well, so obviously Celtic played last year as well. So at least now, you know the format, you know how it works, and I'm looking forward to it. As I said, it's good coming up against boys you've played with, and other teams as well, and then obviously. If you've not played with them, you've definitely played against them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, it's a great occasion. It's brilliant for the fans as well. They'll come out and get to see, maybe their parents' heroes, shall we say.
And in terms of your career, if we wind back to the start, you obviously started at Kilmarnock. You came through there as a youngster.
Yep.
What was it like breaking into the team in your first spell there? Because you made an impact very early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I go right back to the start, that obviously when you're coming through the youth setup and everything, and you're training with the first team, it's totally different now to what it was back then. You're in and around the first team at 16, 17, 18-year-old, and as I said, for me, I was fortunate enough that there was a lot of good strikers around there at the time. I think of Paul Wright, Alan McCoist, Matt Roberts as well, who I know he didn't really hit the heights that he probably should have in his career, but he was an outstanding player. And for me to play alongside him for so long in the reserves was a great learning curve for me, because he just knew the game. He was such an intelligent footballer, and as I said, for me, it was brilliant that I could learn off him, because at that moment in time, it was exactly what I needed as a young boy. But you were still up against men on a weekly basis, well, a daily basis, because you were training with the first team, but your games were all against men, as I said, and the reserve league then was totally different to what it is now, and that competition for places, the squads were bigger, and you had to force your way in there. But for me, I think it was a great learning curve that I was able to train alongside those guys or that type of player every day. But as I said, be able to play the games was crucial for me, and especially with Matt Roberts.
And in terms of the management team, obviously Jim Jeffries, Billy Brown, what were they like working with you?
Oh, they were amazing. I mean, I was fortunate enough that I had Bobby Williams, who gave him my debut, and then he left to go to Hibs and everything. But I think when Jim and Billy came in, it was different, shall we say? But really excited at the same time. They had been successful in Scottish football with Hibs, with Hearts, and the job they had done. There was it was an exciting time for Kilmarnock, because I think the players that had came in, and we had there was a lot of guys who had won things and been there challenging, at the right end, and we had a good team. I think when you think of Stevie Fulton and Gary Locke and Greg Shields and all these boys who came, and it was a good game. It was a good team, good togetherness, and we as I said, we probably should have done better than what we did. As I said, for me, it was good that you had experienced pros there that learned you as much as you possibly could, at a young age, and it was exciting. But Jim and Billy, let's just say, as I said, I think the best way I could sum it up was that they stood me in good stead for what was coming later. Obviously, when I moved to Rangers and under Walter Smith.
In terms of moving to Rangers, there was interest in you from English clubs, but when a team like Rangers comes in for you, is it just a no-brainer to want to go there right away?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I grew up supporting the football club, and it's obviously a dream come true that your boyhood club wants you to sign, and for me, the opportunity was too good to turn down. I'd obviously been linked. I'd been down to a few clubs down south, but as I said, it didn't materialise, and I was about to sign for Cardiff, and then as I said, I got that call to the Rangers were interested. And there was only one place I was going after that. So as I said, for me, it was brilliant. As I said, I've been growing up as a Rangers fan, and then finally getting that opportunity to pull on that jersey. But not only that, I think when I look back at your career, there's been loads of people been given that opportunity, but and they end up to actually go and win trophies. It makes it a special place. Score the goals I scored and win trophies. As I said, not anybody can win cup competitions, but I think to win the league over the course and distance of a full season was really important for us as well. And to do that with, as I said, the majority of the boys who are playing in the Masters is fantastic, because you do get that camaraderie together and that team spirit. And once you get your hands on silverware, it leads you to more. And as I said, once we got our hands on that, I think it was a League Cup against Dundee United. As a group, we wanted more, and we were able to kick on and deliver success for the football club for a number of years after that.
As a striker, how pleasing was it for you not only to win those trophies, you won everything domestically, but scoring the cup finals as well? You scored the winning penalty against Dundee United in the shootout, but you also scored an open play in some of these finals as well.
Yeah, I'll always have a laugh and a joke about that when the Dundee United won. I don't know what Walter was thinking that day. Started Lee McCulloch ahead of me up front. I'll always wind jig up when I'm with him as well. I had to come on to bail the team out then twice, in fact, because we fell behind in extra time as well. But as I said, we have a good laugh and a joke about it now. At the time, it's serious, and you just want to get the job done. I was fortunate enough to score in Scottish Cup, League Cup, and then on the final day to clinch the title as well. So for me, I've experienced scoring loads of goals, but I think when you feel as if you've contributed to delivering success, whether that has been over the course and distance of a season or on that day scoring in cup finals, it's important. And as I said, it's something that obviously when you look back on now, when you're finished, you can see the success that the football club has had, the history, and looking at it from looking back through the games and everything, and you've played a part in it.
You mentioned that Jim and Billy prepared you for working under Walter Smith. What was working under Walter like? Because one of the best managers Scotland's ever produced.
Oh, he was unbelievable. There's no getting away from it. Arguably, as you say, the best that's been. I think getting the best out of a team that was okay, in European football, but to get us to a European final as well, and the success that we had domestically, he built a team. Or the nucleus of the team was British based, and understood the football club and got it, and then added one or two X factors, shall we say? Especially I think people like Pedro Mendes was a fantastic piece of business. Stevie Davis as well, when he came in, guys like that, they elevated the football club. But Walter knew exactly what he was doing. He'd been there in the past, he'd done it before, and then obviously when he decided to call time in Scotland, where it was the first time that I had been managed with him. You've seen how good he was there, getting the best out of teams that you didn't expect to go and get results against. We beat France home and away. The results we had, and I know it was Alec who was in charge for the French away one. But in terms of the squad that we had and the squad that Walter had built in Scotland, you knew when they came back to Rangers that he was going to do the exact same thing and to the club's success in that period of time. But as I said, for me, obviously someone who's sadly no longer with us, missed hugely because of the impact he had. And I think as well, you look at, there's a lot of our ex-boys, his ex-players who have went on to become coaches and managers. And I think it's obviously sad that, you're not able to phone him up and get the help off him that he would have, because there's one thing about him, he was a gentleman at heart, and he would have done anything for the squad, for anybody he worked under, but just in terms of everything, because he's family man, and as I said, it's just sad that he's no longer with us.
In terms of Ali McCoy's too, obviously worked so closely with Walter. You mentioned that you played with him as you were coming through. Then he obviously coaches you. Did he ever wind you up about that when he was your coach?
No, because to be fair, you never really seen him. He was always he was training. You seen him in training. He was always last and then first away. As I said, he was coming to the end, and he was obviously dipping his toe in, in the media side of things as well. And he was up and down to London quite a bit to do question of sport and things like that. So he was already well on his way with that. And it was, you seen him at training. But as I said, I was still a young boy and getting changed in the away dressing room. But I think there's one thing, we did, or we would have conversations about that. And I think this is where a lot of youngsters struggle, when you go into that lion's den as such as the first team dressing room, you can get eaten alive basically. But, I was always somebody who would have a laugh and a joke and respect, the elders and you're given the jobs, and I was fortunate enough that I done the boots and cleaned the boots for the first team back then as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm still waiting on a tip off him, but Durante looked after you well, but Coisty's tight on a dead heat.
And in terms of Kilmarnock, again, you had another 2 spells with the club, obviously, going back initially under Kenny Shields and Alan Johnson, then you go back to Rangers again, and then you work with Steve Clarke in the last spell of your career. What was it about you and Kilmarnock and also Rangers where goals just seemed to flow naturally? You scored plenty of goals even as you were coming to the end of your career.
I think my teammates, I think any goal scorer will tell you the exact same thing, unless you're an exceptional player and you can create. There's obviously goal scorers that have scored loads of goals and create a lot of them myself, but I think genuinely that out and out goal scorers, they need their teammates. They need the chances created for them, then they can do their part in the team as such, shall we say. Looking at it, I was fortunate enough to play with some excellent players throughout my career. Not only at Rangers, but as you say, at Kilmarnock as well. Even that second spell out back, Alexei Eremenko was unbelievable. I quite often wonder why he never got to a higher level. There's obviously reasons for it, but in terms of football ability, what a footballer. And then obviously, when Steve Clarke, as I said, I was part of teams that maybe we struggled defensively, but in attack we were good, and then there was some seasons where we struggled in attack, but defensively we were good. I've seen it all at Kilmarnock, but I think it's safe to say that. Obviously, if I go right back to the start, we had teams. I was part of the teams that was qualifying for Europe back then. But I think until Steve Clarke arrived at the football club, and then there was, it was you just felt as if the club was going somewhere, and it's not a freak. You look at Steve Clarke's career and the way he managed players and the way he got the best out of players and gelled a team together throughout his career, and then all of a sudden he came to Kilmarnock and was able to do the same again. I think we had Lee McCulloch had Lee McCulloch's recruitment was very good, but as I said, it just didn't work on the pitch. We never got results. But when Steve Clarke came in, he was able to take those the recruitment side of it from Lee, who we had struggled, and then implement it on the pitch. I'll speak about Walter as a manager, but in terms of coaching, Steve Clarke is up there with the best I've worked with. I think if you go and speak to anybody in the national team right now as well, they'll concur with that. He's just exceptional on the grass. I was close to finishing, and he was able to talk me about that as well, and I'm glad I did, because as I said, I think not only it's not until you finish, but not only the goals are scored, but to have a relationship with Steve and be able to pick the phone up to him whenever I want and ask questions if I need be. I think that's vital going forward. So for me, to come across him, albeit it was later on in my career, towards the end of my career, but the success we had and seeing how he was able to gel a team together and get us into Europe, and I said, albeit it was exited very quickly from Kilmarnock, but I'll always say we got them there. We never had the chance to play in Europe, that's for sure.
And in terms of your career post playing, obviously you've went into the punditry side of it. Is that something that you were always interested in?
No, as I said, for me, I'd done all my coaching badges. I'd finished my pro license when I was still playing. As I said, my heart was set in that. I was coaching young boys in Kilmarnock, loved it. But I just the opportunity. I'd obviously done a few bits and bobs in terms of media, but then, as I said, I was probably right place at the right time. I had started doing a few bits and bobs for Sky. A few of the producers liked the way that I worked. Yeah, there was. You're always looking to improve, and I'm not naive enough to think that that's not the case even still. But when Neil McCann decided to take up the reins at Dundee, there was a place vacant at Sky, and as I said, I was fortunate enough to get that. I'm grateful for the opportunity, as I said, because it is a massive organisation, and I feel as if from where I was to where I am now, in terms of being on the second most viewed show in Sky in terms of Soccer Saturday, and obviously the football, the Premier League takes precedent over everything. But to be part of a show that you grew up watching, you've grown up over the years, and it's an iconic show of Sky. And obviously Jeff's no longer there, but Simon will put his own stamp on it as well. But you look at it, to be part of that for me was a big step. It was a big, I was pretty fortunate COVID in terms of they used the Glasgow studio because you couldn't have everybody in the studio. And again, it was an opportunity that I was able to take, and I've been down to London the last couple of seasons now doing most of at least twice a month doing the games as well. So I love it. As I said, it keeps you involved in the game. You're at the games watching it. It keeps you working. You're not depending on 20 players, shall we say, to keep you in a job. And also the other side of that is as well that have to keep you in a job. But I think for me, I can put my head in the pillow on a Friday night or a Saturday night, whatever, and know that if there's been a mess or it's been a muck up or whatever, it's on me. It's not. I'm not depending, as I said, anybody else. So look, it keeps you there. You need to you need to put in the hard work. You need to know what you're talking about in terms of the games and the players. And as I said, I will say, I found that a little bit challenging. When I've started doing a lot of English stuff as well, that to be at a level to be able to put your points across in both leagues, and both leagues are viewed. And I think we all know the way social media is now as well, that everybody's got an opinion on what you say as well. So I think you do need to do your homework that allows you to have that opinion that you can put across and put up an argument if anybody challenges you. But no, as I said, I've enjoyed it, and long may it continue.
One of the things Sky have done really well, particularly down south, was bringing Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher together. Kris Sutton was arguably the best pundit on a rival station up here in Scotland. You are considered the best pundit in Sky in Scotland. Sky have now brought you both together. How much are you looking forward to that and sparring with Kris Sutton?
No, I think it's quite easy for everybody to look at it and say, I've wound up Celtic fans and Kris has wound up the Rangers fans. I think when you actually cut it all back and everything, both of us do our work. We both know what we're a lot of people might not agree with it, but as I said, you don't get to the station you're on if you're not any good at it. So look, I think for both of us to be there now, it's a great opportunity for both of us. It's a great opportunity for Sky as well, because I said, I know the way I love Scottish football, and there's one thing I think the majority of Chris's work down south in the last few years. Sorry, the majority of Chris's work has been down south in the last few years, but he's always had something to say about Scottish football. He's always fighting for that and backing that in terms of the talent and everything we've got here. And I think we both need to do that, because sometimes it does get clouded. But there's one thing that both of us have got Scottish football best interest at heart, because we have got a great product here. And as I said, both of us are now on the biggest media outlet in Britain, and it gives us an opportunity to wind each other up, shall we say? And I'm sure there'll be a few knockouts during the season, but no, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure Kris will be the same as well, in terms of when you've got somebody that's going to challenge you, on things you say, on opinions that you've got to win your game. You've got to know what you're talking about. As I said, I'm sure Kris will be the exact same as me. I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot easier when your team's winning, shall we say. That's how Mr. Sutton's got a smile at this moment in time, but hopefully come the end of the season, I'm able to smile.
Last question for you, Kris. Again, back to the Masters. You mentioned earlier about playing with your former teammates, which you're excited about. How excited are you to see fans turn up on the day and obviously cheer you on, just like they did all those years ago when you were playing at Ibrox?
No. I think it's really important for the whole setup in terms of it gives. That's why I said that a lot of the kids will be going to games now, and maybe their mums and dads have went and watched us, and there'll be some players on the night that probably even their grands and grandpas went and watched them play. So for me, hopefully I'm in that bracket of mums and dads, shall we say. But no, I think it's a great. Last year was special, and we've seen the turnout, and I think the boys put on a great show as well. So I'm hoping it's the exact same this year as well. It gives us something that we all look forward to. You need to try and get yourself into decent condition, shall we say. So I've probably got another 3 or 4 stone to shift to get down to 20. But however, I'll continue to train ahead of it. But no, as I said, I think it's important that the fans come out. We're really looking forward to it, and it'll be a great occasion. As I said, I think the guys at the Masters put on, what they do, they're the best at it. Other people out there have tried it and failed. But it was away for a few years, but there's no doubt that done properly it can be a success. And I'm sure great to see our old teammates, and obviously our old guys that we came up against in the past. But it's also great to see the fans have put a smile on their face, hopefully score a few goals, annoy a few people on the night, and the job's a good one.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Kris.
No problem.